So, President Bola Tinubu's administration, and you're a part of that government.
Certainly.
Congratulations.
And moving on now, on 29th of May 2023, President Bola Tinubu promised Nigerians a renewed hope in the area of infrastructure development. Well, a year on, senior correspondent Sarah Yekwe x-rays development in the sector and how it has impacted national development.
One of the few policies President Bola Tinubu designed to revamp infrastructure and grow Nigeria's economy is the establishment of the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund. One infrastructure that has the president bragging about his achievements. In less than a year, are road projects ongoing in different parts of the country.
To me, today is my day to brag. It's my bragging day. Don't be afraid. We will do this road. 700 kilometers. It will be a success for Nigeria, and we'll do more of this.
Some of the infrastructural projects under the federal government are the reconstruction of the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Superhighway, 1,000-kilometer Sokoto-Badagry Highway, design and procurement of 461-kilometer Africa Trans-Sahara route, and the reconstruction and rehabilitation of 330 roads and bridges across the 6 geopolitical zones. In Lagos alone, there are at least 8 projects that have been rehabilitated or under construction. One of them is a 3rd mainland bridge.
The
government says the coastal highways in Nigeria will be transformed into tourist destinations with enhanced security, recreational facilities, and efficient transportation, cutting down travel time by 50% nationwide.
700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road is built in 6/10 lanes, where we have a lot of infrastructure, where we have urban development. We are doing 10 lanes. And the road is done with 11 inches concrete pavements using Y20 reinforcement. The project is procured and is to be completed in sections. First section, we've done over 1.3 kilometers completed. And legacy project of Mr. President, they all have train tracks. Lagos Calabar has train tracks at the middle, 25 meters width. The rest of the other 2 have train tracks by the side, and they're all procured in 6 and where occasion demands in 10 lanes.
The most controversial project the Tinubu government has embarked on is the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, with critics questioning every aspect of the project.
Governments in the past have wanted to do that, but have lacked the political will to get it going. And so if there's anything one can say, with regards to the present administration, they have shown the will to want to get it done. But it is something that is shrouded in controversy. There's an alternative, which is a repair of the existing road infrastructure that has collapsed in many parts of the country. The Auchi, Benin, Abuja road, and so many other roads in the country that are, in very bad state, should have been done and should have taken preeminence before even the coastal road. But beyond that, again, is the fact it's the issue of, I think the government has flagged off about 300 roads from what they have told us. And so that in itself is commendable.
The Bola Tinubu government inherited 2,600 budgetary appropriation projects and special intervention projects nationwide. For now, it has embarked on 40 new projects across the country. One of the few policies President Bola Tinubu designed to revamp infrastructure and grow Nigeria's economy is the establishment of the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund. One infrastructure that has the president bragging about his achievements. In less than a year, are road projects ongoing in different parts of the country.
To me, today is my day to brag. It's my bragging day. Don't be afraid. We will do this road. 700 kilometers. It will be a success for Nigeria, and we'll do more of days.
Okay, Mr. President is bragging already.
Indeed, it's time to brag. 1 year in office, and he's talking about what his administration has been able to achieve and the roadmap they have also set for the remaining part of his first tenure in office.
Well, at least we now know that there's no going back on the Coastal Road.
Yes, indeed.
But recent data from the CBN is revealing a staggering housing deficit to the tune of 28 million units in Nigeria. And that no doubt highlights the critical challenge that the housing poses to Nigeria and indeed for this administration. Our next conversation is around President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda on housing. And joining us here is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Housing Authority, Oyetunde Oladimeji.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, you have a huge task, I must say, looking at the statistics. Nifemi has rolled out the housing deficit in Nigeria. How well do you understand the enormity of this task placed on you by Mr. President, and how ready are you to deliver?
Thank you very much. Like you said, the new executive management team was inaugurated on 21st of February 2024. So barely 3 months ahead we came in. But knowing fully, for some of us that have worked with Mr. President for the past 18 years, Mr. President is somebody that doesn't take any excuse. It's somebody that his eyes, like I keep saying, his eyes is always on the ball. If you are not ready to work with him, you better quit. We know the enormous task ahead of us in the housing project, and that's why immediately we were inaugurated. I told my team, my executive management team and general management team of FHA, that we have a lot on our shoulder. For example, we realized that the first thing you have to build on a land. And in FHA, we realized that we have land deficits. And that was why we embarked, and we are still moving on, going around the states of the Federation, because these houses will be built in all the states of the Federation. And as we speak, this is the 23rd state we visited yesterday. That's in Nasarawa State. And in the next 3 weeks, I've said we'll conclude the whole 36 states. And at this junction, knowing the enormity of the work ahead of us, you can't afford to sleep if you are working with Mr. President. You must be on your toes. Like I said, in case Nigerians don't know, I doubt if he sleeps until 4 a.m. in the morning. That's why I say for those of us who has been with him and is still doing the same thing. Like he said, we all asked for this job and we must deliver. And I can assure you in Federal Housing Authority, as we speak today, we have over 22 lands around the Federation. I would also like to thank the state governors at this junction who have been very magnanimous, not just giving us lands, but also giving us land free and making sure that compensation on those lands and price of those lands were given to us free. Because we also told them that it's about affordable housing unit. So we need, well, you might cross it a crop subsidy, but we need a form of assistance in order to deliver. It's for Nigerians.
So about 21 states have given you land now?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. 21 states.
Walk us through what this land is meant for. What do you aim to achieve?
What we aim to achieve, like you said, you have about 20-something million deficit. And you see, we know that it's not about just the housing deficits. Like we said, it's about having an affordable housing. It's critically key at this junction. And what we tend to achieve with those houses is to do a mass housing unit. Not just doing the mass housing unit, but making sure that the houses are affordable for people. And we are going to deliver. Like I said, we've crossed 2 hurdles. It's as if we are going to 10 hurdles. Land has been given to us free. In the past, previous FHA management team, executive management team, what I met in the file is they normally pay for land. They normally pay for crop compensation. But to us now, we've crossed 2 hurdles. The first 2 hurdles are land given to you free by the state governors, compensation being paid by the state governors on this land encumbrances and everything. So it shows a sign that we are going to get there and we are going to.
These units of land is for the Renewed Hope housing program. The intent is to build new housing units, right?
Yes.
But as we speak, there are about 47 abandoned housing units spread across the country. So some have asked the question, why are we building new houses when there are many units that have been abandoned for years?
Let me tell you, you said 28 million deficit from CBN. If you count all these abandoned houses, I don't even think they're up to 40,000. To be honest with you, 30,000. I was in Nasarawa State yesterday. I saw one of it. And at this junction, the reason for these things being abandoned is very simple. Like I said, these houses are meant to be built in various states of the Federation. If you don't have a proper planning from the very beginning, let me be honest with you, you can't sit in Abuja and do a design and build a house in all these different states without consulting with them from the very beginning. Because these houses will be lived in by human beings who are residents, mostly in that state. And you see, we are one in Nigeria, but we differ in culture, religion, and tribe. If you don't consult very well, you'll find out that most of these houses will be abandoned. I can assure you, the one I visited in Nasarawa yesterday, I asked for the cost, 16, 17 million for a 2-bedroom. How is it going to be affordable for Nigerians? Let's start. It's something that the past administration built. I don't want to condemn any administration. Government is continuing. But let's start this way. We got a land, for example, in Akwa Ibom. The cost of the land is about 1 billion, given to us free. Compensation in Kubras is given to us free. That means we've saved 2 billion. At this present state, to do a 2-bedroom, semi-finished 2-bedroom, will not be more than 8 to 9 million at the present state, even with the inflation. Blocks is about 500 to 600 naira, 9-inch. 6-inch is about 450 to 480 naira. 2,500 blocks will give you a 2-bedroom flat. A rooftop, depending on the square meters of the size, will definitely go for about almost 1.82 million. Windows and burglaries, there's about. That will finish at the rate of 7 to 8 million naira. Then you can now call on the off-takers of the government, which are predominantly the indigenous of the states, predominantly civil servants, who are going to buy. Remember that you have various categories of houses which you expect the lower level to also benefit, because it's for them, really.
I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm just concerned about all of these housing units that have been abandoned. You talked about the issue of affordability. Are you saying that they are now condemned, nothing can be done to subsidize, to ensure that at least we have people who don't even have houses? Maybe perhaps government can subsidize them and start with this.
Well, there's a social housing scheme. Remember that we are from the Federal Housing Authority of Nigeria. We have our parent Ministry of Housing also building. And remember that some of these houses abandoned were done under the Ministry of Works and Housing. You see, there's something you can do like a buyover. You approach the state government. Yesterday I was with Nasarawa State Governor, and that was the kind of proposal he threw up to me. And that was why I visited the site. And some of us will discuss with the relevant authority, because in federal housing, all our houses are occupied. People are even buying without being ready. But we won't deny the fact that some houses have been abandoned. My advice, none of FHA houses have been abandoned. That's the truth. None. But let's assume maybe when it was under the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, we talked to them, state governments will buy it over. It's just a straightforward thing. They will buy it over and they will do subsidy on it. Mass housing is always been subsidized by government. And in doing that, what else do you expect? So those houses are only meant to be identified. I will talk to my minister, what I saw yesterday in Nasarawa, and I will give him the best advice. Since the governor of Nasarawa State said, yes, they are ready to buy it over. And they will look into it and they'll give it to their people. So why would they have? So some of these things, when we see it, we've been going around and we'll get all our details and data ready, and we'll talk to our parent ministry to let them be informed that some of these houses are there and they need something has to be done with.
All right, in spite of efforts now to make these houses affordable, access to finance is also a major issue. Even if the houses go for, let's say, 2 million naira for the low-income earner, they'll still need finance to be able to access it. And we do not have a very vibrant mortgage system here in Nigeria. What's in place to ensure that there's a system that provides finance for the people to access these and maybe we pay over a period of time? What's in place?
I think about 2 weeks ago, well, again, I would like to thank Mr. President and also the Federal Executive Council meeting, and in which you saw the Murphy bill was passed, approved the Murphy financing. And in the Murphy, you saw it categorically stated, Federal Housing Authority, Federal Mortgage Bank. Those are the two government agencies responsible, one for building, one for mortgages. A 25-year period was spelled out in it. To be honest with you, with the kind of houses we build, I can assure you with the Federal Mortgage Bank, and also we have FHA Mortgage Bank, the funds that will be there. Mr. President have said it, and a lifespan of 25 years in it. And I can assure you, people will pay before 25 years.
The FHA Mortgage Bank, that's new and it's kind of a novel. Tell us more about it. How is it different?
It's not new. The primary mortgage bank is the Federal Mortgage Bank.
Yes, indeed.
The FHA Mortgage Bank is just a subsidiary under the Federal Housing Authority, in which they are with CBN, and like I said, the parent one is the Federal Mortgage Bank. We are and they've been actually giving mortgages to people. Yesterday, they gave keys of houses to about 60 workers around the airport side, and they deal with private developers as well. And mortgages are being given out. And we are planning in Federal Housing Authority to also strengthen them by making sure that mortgages are more affordable to Nigerians. But I can assure you, with what was passed in FEC, there will be a lot of funds being rolled out in which workers can access mortgages.
Another issue for some people is racketeering. We have, how do we prevent a situation whereby one person who is well-to-do buys access to funds, buys
all the units,
almost all the units, and then sublets it to some other people who probably cannot afford it, and in that process, deprives other people of access to this affordable housing?
Well, you are very, very right. It's a difficult thing, really, but you can also check such a thing. What we are doing in FHA, let me talk for FHA, is we make it everything announced to the public. This is what we're doing at some point in time. Before we even finish building, we make sure we bring in off-takers. And that's why we are so particular about also government agencies, because it's the government agencies that have the data. For example, we went to JAM, and JAM requested that Professor Loede, the registrar, said they want about some hundreds of units of houses in Buhari for their staff. With that, you'll be extremely very sure that JAM has a data. And also to avoid that, that's why in FHA we are talking to the state governors to also make sure they provide us with their data of their civil servants. Even though, we have different model in FHA. We have the private partnership. With the private partnership model, yes, the rich can go and buy. But you see, with the mass housing and direct construction, we are trying to deal more with government agencies to make sure that we call what exactly you are saying. Because with these data from the governors, we will be able to show at what grade level of workers are buying it. And we'll make it public. That's the whole truth.
So you're currently verifying authentic LRTs across the country for a period of 9 months, thereabout. Accurate?
About 3 months for now.
3 months for now. But I also know that you have launched digitization of capturing accurate data. How far have you gone with that? Has FHA now completely gone digital?
Well, thank you very much. Internally, yes, we have gone digitalized. And you see, when the new executive management got into FHA, we realized a lot of lapses. And to be honest with you, in the 21st century, it's still the analog style where files are just being kept in a room. And knowing the sensitivity of land and property between us, one cannot be playing with people's life. We all know that this purpose of housing, this purpose of land issues is about life savings, it's about life investment. And for now, we decide to say, let everybody come and verify their lands, let everybody come and verify their houses, because we know in us as well, to be honest with you, when we got in, we found some bad eggs, we have to be honest with you, working in FHA. And we've been trying to compile names. Some of them We have reposted them out. Some of them, if we found them guilty, we hand them over to the police or EFCC. And digitalization, really, it should be at a one-stop button. In another 2-3 weeks from now, the external digitalization will be done. But we have launched the internal digitalization, in which is going to help the diaspora community, wherever you are. And we are going to link it with the state government of every state. So that as you are punching on us in FHA, the state government of every state is seeing it as well. The diaspora community, the diaspora community encounters a lot of fraud. I was a victim of it when I was in the United Kingdom, sending money back home for people to build houses for me, only for me to come back. Do you know the funniest thing? That was just about 2 months to my wedding. I realized I didn't have anything.
Wow.
So that's the reason for that digitalization. And also in FHA, we keep seeing people coming with double allocation issues on land. We see some houses that we cannot even verify.
But what does this verification mean for landowners in Nigeria? Do they have anything to fear?
They don't have anything to fear. If, you see, in FHA, I'll be honest with you, we have a lot of issue of double allocations. And you see, it's straightforward. The first allottee is the owner of the land, if you pay. You find a scenario where you have a first allottee who has paid, and the next thing you see another allocation. And the next thing you find out that the second allottee has been given a building plan approval. That is injustice. I won't sit down and allow injustice to take place. So one of the things we're doing is, with this, we are going to get everything solved. Because in the next 4 or 5 months, we want to do away with analog. We want to go digitalization so that you can go home, rest, do a press button on a push, and at the end of the day, you know your property is safe for 50 years. So we can assure you that the digitalization, it's on internally, external in another 2 weeks. So everybody will be safe in what? Because you see, it's not, nobody needs to fear on anything. Once you procure a land properly, you've paid, you've been given receipt. We have a lot of land out there. We have a lot of property out there. Like I can tell you, we don't even know the owners.
You know, what we see these days are complete houses where people have been living for so long, and then government comes to say, you're building on waterways, or you were not, allowed to build here in the first place. And it baffles people. Why do we have to wait for that long?
That level of development.
That level of development before intervening. Does that bother you, and do you see FHA playing any pivotal role here?
Oh, you see, it bothers me a lot. And that's where the issue of also land grabbers comes in. And because of the urgency and sensitivity of owning a property, which everybody knows, once you own a property, the issue of landlord becomes a thing of the past. And because of our level of literacy, people will not go and make proper findings and information from this ministry. The next, and because of the kind of laws we still run in Nigeria, when powers is given to traditional rulers sometimes, even though we know the state government owns the land, but in some states you still have these arrangements where they said some areas are conceded to traditional rulers. And at the end of the day, once they just pick a family, I'll use Ekiti for example. For you to buy a land sometimes in Ekiti, all they just have to do is, they'll say, have you met the head of the family? Then once they issue you a receipt, that receipt doesn't mean you should not go and check with government. But people always try to do sharp practices. Let's be honest. They want to pay the required fee, the survey fee, the town planning fee, approval fee. The next thing, they start building. Once they check, every state, every region of this country has the town planning units in which everywhere is properly planned. So if you build your houses on the drainage without talking to the government, and remember that this country is big, let's be honest. Sometimes you don't have the manpower. You are still working on technology to capture a lot of things. Assuming you have the technology at first hand, why not? We'll get all these things once it's done.
But there's also the complicity of government agencies, because many of these developing, buildings that are under development, you see marks on them. And then after a while, you notice that the building goes on.
Yeah.
So it's not as if there is no agency saying what was being built at the time. It does seem that they just did not do anything about it.
One thing you should be very careful with these marks. People get it wrong. When you see a mark by a town planner, it's not telling you that it should be demolished. You know, when you go in to the government agency, after buying the land, you do a survey plan. You go for a planning approval. You see, some people as well, why that development is going, they alter what is being given as approved. So when something is marked, it's not for demolition at all the time. It's telling you that this is your plan approval by the government. Are you going the right way? Somebody might come for an approval of 2-bedroom. Because he sees that he wants to change the government, he will start building 3-bedroom. So in most cases, when you saw these red marks, to be honest with you, it's not for demolition. But in areas, we've seen in the past a lot of things has been tolerated and entertained, and that's why the government is coming at this junction to make sure that things
hold
are
the thought. Hold that thought. We're just going to take a short break,
okay,
and then we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us, everyone.
Welcome back. We're still speaking with the Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Housing Authority, Oyetunde Oladimiji Ojo. Thank you for your time now. Now let's talk about 25 years of unbroken democracy. President Bola Tinubu's administration is celebrating or commemorating 1 year in office. You know, before President Bola Tinubu came on board, the expectations were quite high. How well would you say he has been able to meet these expectations before? Because for some people, they'll say their hopes were also dashed.
Well, thank you very much. Something has been destroyed for over 40, 50 years. Somebody's coming in one day. It's easier to demolish a building. You can demolish a 10-story building in less than 2 hours, but you can't build a 10-story building, to be honest with you, in 20 days. You see, what's going wrong here is a kind of a social contrast. You see, you won't blame the people because the successive government or the previous government, people don't trust government again. And when you come and you tell them this is what we have from the social contrast theory, oh, they will say they've had a lot of that in the past. And we keep telling them, this is Mr. President of a different pedigree. This is Mr. President. Some of us ask him, I have to be honest with you. I call him Daddy. I say, Daddy, what are you looking for? You see, what the president is doing is not for himself. He's doing it for we, the younger ones. We need somebody to put us right. Look at areas of road infrastructure. He has just launched the Lagos Calabar. They are working on it. Do you know what the employment opportunity that's going to bring into the country? For those of us, my mom is from Ekiti. My dad is from Ekiti, my mom is from Bayelsa. So easily I can move from Lagos to the coastal shores of Calabar without flying through the road. The businesses, the beach setup that will come up with business and everything. Secondly, you see, look at the security situation. Before we know the level of the insecurity in this country, but gradually it's going down. It won't crash in one day. We just want Nigerians to be patient. Some of us are addressing Nigerians as be patient. This thing is not done in one day. You can't fix this country in 1 year. All they just have to do is trust and believe in the man. After the first 4 years, you can now come and say, has he performed or has he not performed? To be honest with you, in 1 year, can you bring up a baby in 1 year to become an adult? Nigeria is a complex situation. You know, some people don't travel around this country. I'm sorry to say this on a public media space. Some people, they only know their terrain and their region. For those of us, I drive through this country, I do enter airplane. And I've been doing that, God knows, for almost 20, 30 years. That's why it's easy for me to move around the whole federation on this country.
You know, Mr. Ojo, it's important that we also consider 1 year from the context of a 4-year tenure. Because if you say a baby cannot grow in a year, it means you're saying that President Tinubu only has 4 years to make an impression. And 4 out of 4 is like 1/4 of it. So the question really is, do you think he's on track as regards his renewed hope programs?
He is very, very on track. For you to have a building, you must do a foundation. Get the foundation wrong, and I can tell you that building is coming down. That's the reality. Is he on track? Yes, very, very on track. He's picking every sector gradually, identifying the challenges, identifying the problem, pushing. You must plan. Are you going to a war? Fine. You see, sometimes you should not react because you want to react. It's about proper planning before execution. You can use 1 year to plan, execute in 1 year, and I can tell you by the 3rd year, everybody start laughing. But you can start. That's what I'm telling you. When we got to FHA, and I'll use that for example, people were expecting build, but I realized there was no land. And I've been given a job to do in the 6th state of the Federation. So the first thing I have to do is to acquire land. I can't go and build houses on water. If I need to do that on water, I need to still go deep down. And that's what Mr. President is doing. He's planning. Execution is just a very simple. I can tell you with that, and I can beat my chest. Building bungalows in every state. I can do 5,000 bungalows in 1 year. Every state of the Federation. To build a bungalow is the cheapest thing so far. You are not having a decade. But if you don't plan properly, to get the land, you and I know, you can ask private people. It will take them almost 1 year. You are getting a. So, Mr. President is on the right track. He's on the right foot. And that was why I talked about the social contract system. For Nigeria to just be patient with him. You can easily. Was your TV station built up in 1 year? Oh, if it was 1 year, TVC would not be at this brand. Let's be honest with you. So we are talking to Nigeria. There are different issues, different sector that he inherited. And he's saying, let everybody relax. Believe in me. He's a pilot that is taking us to the right destination. And for some of us that will believe in him, the younger ones.
All right. We have to go now, Mr. Ojo, and I hope that what you're saying resonates with majority of Nigerians who also have a mind of their own to determine or decide how they choose to react to Mr. President's first year in office. I think it all boils down to what the people can see, and like Mr. President usually would say, to inspire hope in them. You know, someone said in the morning that Nigerians have to be patient. Yeah, but, you know, there's also a point where patience crosses into long suffering. You mentioned that Nigerians have had such experience with past leadership. So trust that they don't believe easily, except you can show them what you are talking. And hopefully, in the coming years, we hope to see what
in another 1 year, Nigerians will see what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is made up of. He did it in Lagos. So this thing is not a rocket science stuff. He will do it in Nigeria.
Oyetunde Ojo is the MD CEO of the Federal Housing Authority. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, as the low-key celebration of President Tinubu's first year in office continues, some Nigerians have added their voices in assessing the president's performance. Some say he's done well, while others remain indifferent.
Well, let's share some of their thoughts with you.